Hello everybody, I'm Grant Fluff from Fluster Sports Zone and welcome back to another YouTube video. And today, I would love to make videos about more happier news or, give my opinions on a certain topic, but tonight's video is a bit more on the dark side as former NFL wide receiver Vincent Jackson has passed away at 38 years old. He played with the Chargers and the Buccaneers from 2005 to 2016. He made the Pro Bowl 3 times with back then when the Chargers were in San Diego, 2009, 2011, and 2012. 2012, he had the league high of 95-yard touchdown reception. That was the league's highest that year. And in his career, he had 540 receptions for over 9,000 yards and 57 touchdowns. He got over 4,000 receiving yards on both teams, which is good. He played in the Chargers for 7 years and the Bucs for 5. But I know what you're thinking. Well, how did this news, unfortunately break down, and why was it just announced this morning that he passed away in a hotel room he was staying in? Well, I was just learning this right before I went on for this video, after, reading, several sites say he passed away and stuff like that. It was actually reported that Jackson has been staying in this hotel, Homewood Suites Hotel, since January 11th. It is currently February 15th. He has been staying in this hotel for a little bit more than a month. And it was just announced that on Friday, the police located him alive, but a housekeeper this morning found him dead at around 11:30 a.m. And, and again, it just clearly even says here, and I'm reading this off of Yahoo Sports' article, cause of death has not been determined. There are no immediate signs of trauma, according to police. It looks like this was certainly a murder, and no one really knows who has committed it just yet, which is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, that really sucked. I hate seeing that. Obviously, when any player passes away, it's obviously sad. But especially when obviously Fluster Sports Zone for daily sports news. Make sure you go follow that on Instagram, Fluster Sports Zone. But I make passing away posts quite frequently, and just made the Maury Schottenheimer, passing away post last week too, and it's like that was sad because he was such a good head coach, battled with Alzheimer's disease and all that stuff. But it definitely hits different when you actually remember a player like actually playing. Like, of course, I was born 2004. I was, obviously not born in the 80s and 90s, but for Vincent Jackson, I started watching football in 2014. Sure, I retired in 2016, but I still know Vincent Jackson. That name certainly rings a bell, and based off my research, I know he was always one of the top receivers on the Chargers. I know he was one of Phillip Rivers' favorite weapons for sure, and it looked like he was definitely a building block for Jameis Winston's development in 2015 and in 2016. And he was a very solid receiver. Again, he got over 9,000 career yards and 57 touchdowns. That's pretty good with 3 Pro Bowl appearances. This is an above average receiver. Not saying Hall of Famer or nothing, but overall, he was still a pretty dominant player in his prime and just very consistent. He had, it looked like, over 6 1,000-yard seasons. And again, he was able to manage over 4,000 yards on both teams, spanning 7 with the Chargers and 5 with the Bucs. But this was this definitely hurt to see. Oh, by the way, excuse me, just re-looking at stats now. He made the Pro Bowl, obviously, in 2009, 2011, and 2012. 2009 and 2011 were with the Chargers. 2012 was with the Buccaneers. That was my bad. But anyway, yeah, I mean, he had a monster 2012 season with the Buccaneers. Like I said, he had that 95-yard touchdown reception. He was averaging 19.2 yards a catch. That was a league high that season. It's just again, the guy was very efficient. And who was the Bucks quarterback in 2012? Is it Josh Freeman? I think that might be a year too late for Josh Freeman. I don't know. I'm kind of blanking on it, to be completely real with you. I'm a bit disappointed. I know they drafted Mike Lennon in 2013, then obviously Winston in 2015. But well, I didn't think it was Josh Freeman, but it was. And the Buccaneers won 7-9 that year. Freeman threw just over 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. I mean, I know Freeman had a pretty good 2010 year. But other than that, he was pretty mediocre. But anyway, but it ain't about him. It's about Vincent Jackson, obviously. And again, it's just really unfortunate to, see such a talented player, go away just 5 years after his retirement. Again, just think about, like, I remember, seeing him catch a few touchdowns on, like, red zone and stuff. Like, I don't live in the Tampa Bay or, Los Angeles or San Diego area, so like I would never really see him play, but since I'm able to watch Red Zone, I remember him a little bit, and definitely seen him before in those touchdown montages, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just really unfortunate. Again, the fact that he's 38 just sucks, because it just definitely hits different when a player is younger compared to when a player like is in like his 70s, 80s, and then passes away. It obviously sucks either way, because someone passing away obviously isn't fun to report, talk about, see, all that stuff. But just sucks when it's a player who's young, who's only been retired for 5 years. I mean, again, he's 38. Like, if he was still in football shape, he may even still be playing right now. But well, maybe not. 38 is a bit old for a receiver, but yeah, it's just again, it's just really unfortunate. And I also hope that the police can find whoever did this too, obviously, because the fact that we're closing in on 24 hours. By the morning, it'll be 24 hours. And we got to find out what happened here. It definitely sounded like it was a killing. And, I saw someone on my Instagram comment, maybe he overdosed. I don't know. Again, police are still investigating. Like I mentioned before, it looked like there was no trauma or anything, no signs. So this was obviously unexpected. Maybe he was murdered. Maybe he overdosed. Maybe he was taking some drug or some medicine that, maybe he shouldn't have been taking, and unfortunately passed away. But I don't know. I have a feeling that someone murdered him. Also, just one little last thing. Like I mentioned, he's been staying in that hotel since January, and actually his family called a report him missing on February 10th. So just 5 days ago, the parents called in on the hotel and the state saying that, oh, hey, he's missing. So just to see him pass away 5 days later also, it's just, it's got to be heartbreaking for the parents. Because again, his parents must be in like their like 60s and 70s and stuff, which is obviously that's obviously tough to deal with, to see your child pass away before you, kind of. Obviously that's gotta feel awful. But yeah, I mean, 11:30 a.m. today they found out. Personally, I think if he died last night or in the wee hours of the morning, I don't think he just died at like 10:30 and then 11:30 they checked in. I think if anything, he was either murdered in the middle of the night or he like overdosed late last night. I guess that would be my only two speculations. I'm not gonna sit here and speculate because we simply don't know yet. I'm just saying I think that is the way how he unfortunately passed away. But if it's a murder, hope they find him. If it was, he was using some drug or was drunk or whatever, just you hate to see it. But again, the guy's 38, and seeing a player pass away, again, it just hits wicked. It just hits way more differently when you actually remember them playing than, like, say, some person for me at least, seeing like some person who played in like the 70s or 80s pass away. Like, it is much different when you see guys from like the early 2000s, like 2010s. It's like, man, I remember watching these guys a few years ago, and it's just now they passed away. It's just really unfortunate. But I would like to close out this video, not with a tribute, but I would like to say that his 2007 postseason, one of the most underrated postseasons ever by any wide receiver. No one talks about this, and it is ridiculous. The Chargers, of course, this is when Phillip Rivers played in the AFC Championship game against the Patriots with a torn ACL. Vincent Jackson's stat line for that playoffs: 18 catches on 23 targets, 300 yards on the dot, 2 touchdowns, 50 first downs receiving, 16.7 yards per reception, and it looked like he had 2 rushing receiving touchdowns, and he also had a 78.3 catch percentage, which stats a little bit irrelevant, but still impressive nonetheless. And of course, the 2 of the 3 touchdowns he scored in postseason play was in that one right there. But yeah, no, always remember the 2007 playoffs for Vincent Jackson. One of the most underrated all time. Like, I personally think the best wide receiver, postseasons of all time. Larry Fitzgerald in 2008, like Jordy Nelson in 2011 or 2010 rather. The Packers beat the Steelers, and Julian Edelman in the 2016 playoffs, right? But Vincent Jackson 2007, he's up there too for one of the most greatest, like in the Super Bowl era, one of the most impressive wide receiver performances in postseason play. So definitely give Vincent Jackson credit for that, and ultimately, hell of a career. I mean, 11 years. I could just keep on reading his stats all day long, but he was definitely an impressive player and seemed like he was a really nice guy. And he's going to be missed, not just by, NFL fans and his family, but just by anyone, because it seemed like he was a real role model on and off the field. He never won the Walter Payton Award or anything like that, but, he just seemed like he was a nice guy. Seemed like he was never really in trouble. He never got arrested, none of that stuff. Never really got suspended either. Seemed like he was a guy who just showed up to work, did his part, and ultimately had a pretty good career. I'm just looking at his transactions right now on Pro Football Reference, and I don't see any suspensions or nothing, so it seemed like he was a pretty clean player, like I thought. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm Grant Love from Fletcher Sports Zone saying enjoy the rest of your evening. Rest in peace, Vincent Jackson. We're going to miss you, man. Great player. Definitely underrated. And again, remember that 2007 playoff run. If the Chargers make it to the Super Bowl, he probably has close to 500 receiving yards. So definitely keep that in mind. But that's going to be it for me. Hopefully next video is going to be a little bit more, charming, more exciting, not depressing or talking about another player passing away. But for now, I'm Raph Love from Fletcher Sports. I'm saying enjoy the rest of your evening. And again, thank you, B-Jack.